Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll just pick up where my colleague left off. I mean, obviously, in my home state of New Jersey, a lot on the minds about safety, about infrastructure. I was at the Philly TradeCon and Newark Airport this past weekend, and what I hear from the tech folks on the ground there is they still haven't heard a real diagnosis of specifics of what the telecom problems are. They haven't heard from FTI in terms of that. So, you know, Mr. McIntosh, it sounded like you're saying that there has been an investigation. So do you feel like there is, on the FAA side, a clear understanding of what the problem is?
From this outage, Senator Kim,
Correct.
yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
And if that was relayed to you, then that's something that I need to address. And the reason why I'm saying that is I actually, we, the FAA, has sent senior leadership from technical operations who help liaison between our vendor, who provides telecommunication.
And who is that
services.
vendor again?
We have two vendors that provide telecommunication efforts for Philadelphia Area C. That would be Verizon and Crown Castle.
Okay. So yeah, if you can close that loop with those that are there on the ground. And what is the timeline of the fixes that you were mentioning in terms of both the primary and the secondary, and then adding a potential tertiary?
So right now, in our conversations, the administrator and the secretary have asked us to assemble a task force to work with those vendors to improve those redundancies. And that task force started meeting yesterday, and we're expecting those redundancies to be put in place this summer.
This summer?
Yes, sir.
What I was told when I was there at the TradeCon was that the main fix to be able to prevent blackouts, I mean, if our goal is to prevent blackouts from happening, it's going to require a switch and a realignment of the STAR system direct from Newark to Philly TradeCon rather than routed through N90. Is that correct?
There's going to be different levels that are going to help increase our infrastructure there, and STARS is one of the items that we plan on putting to harden that area. And I know that Secretary Duffy actually announced that in his press conference as well, and we are right now having discussions on putting that in place.
Is there a timeline for that switch to STARS?
I was asked to do it as soon as possible, and we're having that conversation now on how quickly we can get it done. It is right now a piece of adaptation. What I mean by adaptation is we got to build the software to make sure that Newark, the Philadelphia Area C TradeCon, can talk to the N90 TradeCon. So that adaptation piece and software changes is really what we need to get done.
I wanted to make sure you're tracking it, because I was told that theoretically you could do this in 6 to 8 weeks, but without the software enhancements, which is so much needed, and that could potentially be a 6-month to 12-month timeline in terms of the testing as well as the development of the software. Does that sound roughly right?
I think the 12-month timeline would be is very, very conservative. When we take a look at adaptations, we already have a team that's going down to the tech center to work on the adaptations next week.
So I'd like to stay in touch with you about this, because I really need to we need to be able to tell the people in New Jersey, frankly around the country, just what we can expect when it comes to the goal of zero blackouts. In terms of being able to make sure that they can have assurances there, because I really do feel like this has become an issue that is undermining confidence, not just in the Newark airport, but just in our system at large. One other issue that is continuing to come up is about staffing. I know we're talking about it nationally, but at least at Philly TradeCon, what I was told is, when it was at N90, roughly 32 CPCs, down to about 22 now, but that the TDY, the temporary duty that they're gonna have, ends July 28th, 2026. About 15, 16 of them could very well move out at that point. The pipeline doesn't sound like it's keeping up. I was told at least it's kind of in the single digits right now. Does that track with your understanding? Like, do you have greater confidence that this isn't going to be some cliff come July 28th, 2026, when it comes to Area C of the Philly TradeCon?
No, Senator, that does not track with my information.
Okay.
Actually, we moved the airspace to improve the pipeline. I currently have 10 individuals that are in the TradeCon that are actively training. I've got another 6 that are in the simulation lab that are going to go to the floor in June of this year. And every training class that I have signed up through the middle of 2026 is filled with CPCITs. So my pipeline is actually robust, which is the whole reason why we moved the airspace.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's what we want to make sure we're hearing.
sir.
And so if you don't mind, if I can follow up with you, just kind of deconflict our numbers.
Yes, sir.
And because again, I just think that that's the kind of information that can hopefully put us at greater ease that, we're trying to deal with a short-term problem right now, ensure those zero blackouts, but also make sure we're not falling over a cliff. So is that something you can work with me on?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chair.